Hello and welcome. After 9 game weeks, despite an unappealing win percentage, Everton have the best, yes, best defence in the league with regards to goals conceded, albeit sharing that honour with 5 other teams, though that was enough for me to make a video about this topic as to how they have fixed themselves right up. Now, as has been my outlook with other things, to see how far the team has come from the state they were in, let's have a look at their worst. Last season, Everton were 5th worst for goals conceded with a negative 23 goal difference. We only had 8 clean sheets for the entire season. Amazingly, we had more clean sheets against top 6 clubs than we did against relegation fodder. We had 11 games where we conceded 3 or more goals, with relegation fodder Burnley and Watford being a part of this list. There was never a time where the backline looked stable. You're probably wondering where the proof is. Well, in typical analysis fashion, I'm going into a dark part of the internet. Everton 2021 to 2022 highlights. I looked at every single goal conceded, and here's what I found. And here's a couple metrics we are going to be looking at in this analysis. The amount of goals that I'll put down to a level of skill to pull off, individual errors, where there's a glaring mistake a player made that led to a score, team errors, which either involve multiple players contributing to a goal concession, a lack of pressure, a lack of effort, all that stuff, and a goalkeeping error, where I reckon the keeper could have done better or saved it entirely. Also, we'll be looking at the set piece number, including penalties, the amount of own goals, and the open play crosses that led to goals. Crosses that involve cutbacks, aerial crosses from the wings, or low balls to centre. This also implies that it takes 1 or 2 touches overall to get the ball into the back of the net, much like a normal set piece. Let's dive in. I'll be picking some of my favourites. First, the skillful goal. Thought I'd ease you in with some beauty of our great game. Of course, the Everton backline can't be put down to every error, so the Cresswell curve, the Rodri rocket, the silkiness from Salah, the McAllister bomb are all borderline unsavable, nor can the outfielders stop this pure class. We had 15 of those. Alright, beautiful. Now that that's done, let's see some utter atrocity. First, the individual error. We had 16 of those. Outside of penalties and own goals conceded, we had shitters like this one. First 20 minutes of the season, under absolutely no pressure, Michael Keane somehow manages this. Or this shocker from Seamus Coleman against a punishing Liverpool side. The pass wasn't perfect by Gray, but I see that as absolutely no excuse. He could have done a number of things here. Instead of absorbing the pressure from Salah, he could have met the ball earlier, and even if his touch wasn't perfect, at least he's running towards the touchline. Instead, he's opened up the entire pitch, and Salah cannot be compressed towards the wings, thus a textbook one-on-one. Or this Demarai Gray shocker. For a team lacking possession last season and lacking command of territory, why on earth would you backtrack, having just left the danger zone? Pair that with a shit pass right back to the opposition, and whilst you shouldn't be able to execute one pass and score with that many defenders in the box, if Gray had just taken the touch, shielded it, that would have sheltered the opposing player and Gray would be goal side. We just loved to embrace pressure last year, and whilst this was a very Rafa mindset, surely rationale should just kick in. Now, we move on to the team error, and man am I going to have an absolute field day here. Where do I begin? I'm going to grab the absolute worst. Let's grab this Leicester footage first. How on earth, as top flight footballers, do you manage to knock each other over without even initiating touch on the opposing player? Now, we got our ass kicked in with 15 open play crosses leading to a goal, and here's a couple examples. This first one has a number of issues. First, no intensity on trying to block the shot. Secondly, absolutely no one has the awareness to watch Odegaard. Demarai Gray never calls out the open number, and all the crosser has to do is find him. There's not really any effort to close out until it's too late, and that's an unbelievably easy goal. Here's another against Liverpool. Unbelievably, the only person who's within Henderson and the goal is Alan, despite Henderson being on the edge of the box. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Everton players forming a guard of honour for the ball. What on God's green earth is this? Not one player puts their body on the line either, except Alan, and he tries to cover the one across his body, which, believe it or not, is already covered. I want you to see some further footage on this. Watch Coleman here. He is pointing at Robertson. Identifies the runner. What on earth is Godfrey doing here pointing at Coleman? Go to Robertson, mate. He gets the time he needs and bang, there's no communication whatsoever, almost a bit of disrespect towards one of the seniors in the team. Though I know exactly why we didn't slide in to prevent shots. Because we couldn't execute that shit either. The amount of times crosses got through 3-4 players. This one's hilarious to me. How on earth does it get through this? The Burnley one. Breaches 4 players with a close quarters cross. Kenny doesn't even get his hands dirty and bang. Everton Leicester, 2 players slide in. Neither are effective and it somehow ends up being a goal. Work rate and effort was an issue too. Can see Alan's a bit of time from click. Get over there, mate. I know you're slow as shit, but look, the fact his motor didn't kick in means there's no insurance if there's a mistake, and lo and behold, as soon as Michael Keane goes down, Mina's got a guard too, and Alan's body language told Michael Keane, you do all the work. Saw you slip over like a fool, I'm going for my morning jog. The amount of back post headers we conceded as well is baffling. Here's one Watford player in the middle on his lonesome, and Dino's just staring right at him waiting for something to happen. It happens at Palace, and against Brighton as well. 2 defenders are having a tea party, and in their conversation, not one decided, let's pick up the bloke that's on his own right behind us. It reached an extreme here where not 1, but 2 queued up because they saw the ad for the tea party Holgate was putting on and saw the opportunity. And then there's the complete and utter garbage. This goal against Crystal Palace was an absolute clusterfuck. It starts as a 5-on-2 after Coleman stuffed it, and to everyone's surprise, not really, because we sucked, but no comms for the clearance, Pickford probably didn't need to deflect, everyone's flat-footed, and the one somehow wins out. The second goal against Wolves out of absolutely nothing, piss fighting around at the back, no pressure, complete control, and one unnecessary pass that shouldn't be remotely close to being stuffed up is, and the result, well, we know the answer. The Manchester City goal. We held them for 80 minutes, only for inadequacy to prevail. How does it happen not once but twice that you're flat-footed, manage to basically escort it into the lap of a City player on the near post 3 yards away? Unforgivable. Overall, we had 33. Yes, 33 goals come from this avenue. 5 own goals, 18 set pieces. And goalkeeping wise, there weren't many of those, mainly because Pickford was abandoned on an island for an entire season. There was one stinker against Tottenham that stands out, but that's about it. Overall, why did we concede so much? Counter-attacks through mistakes, high percentage opportunities through mistakes, couldn't cope with aerial balls, no closeouts, constantly on the back foot, no relief from pressure, no energy or desire, shit personnel, and no communication. Yes, it's a long list. Why are we better now? Simply because you can't get much worse than the shithousery that graced the pitch near our own net. But it goes further than that, so let's take a look at some film from this year. First game we'll look at is West Ham, where we held a clean sheet. First observation, Connor Cody's calm at the back has been a common feature, and to have the poise to not concede goals like a certain Tottenham striker, I appreciate. Look how switched on he is here. I think that's the general feeling in the backline this season. The so-called leaders last season looked like they were going through the motions half the time. We have also needed a bit of fire, a bit of grunt at the back, and Tarkowski absolutely hammers Antonio here. Goes back to his mark, gets on with it. We move forward to the Southampton fixture. Watch this transition by Southampton. What Garnagay has done well this season is anticipation, getting into the passing lanes. Onana also gets across well, and Southampton aren't really expansive, so all bases are covered. See the closeout and see the positioning. There's only a pocket of space Adams can run into, and it's probably the most impossible part to score from for a right footer. Thus, side netting is the result. Let's watch this play closely. All Southampton players are covered with width. Plenty of talk, acknowledgement of the call out. They have to go back. Again, they swing forward, but the back line is well dispersed, and too much surveying means you can lose track, and Garnagay pounces. Want to highlight Tarkowski's efforts here, building off his earlier tackle. The defensive IQ to zip off from where he was holding position, holding up the counter once, getting across and meeting it twice, before attempting to save it right to the line, even without success. the mentality that's needed. We've talked about the ease in which teams were able to put up crosses last year. Look at the work ethic by Iwobi to deny this late in the half. He does this again in the twilight stages of the game, and Walker-Peters is frustrated, unable to do what he wants. Not on Iwobi's watch. The desire to win is present. We'll see the goal we conceded. Whilst we turned it over, we got back exceptionally well and crammed the scorer's area. Only thing I could knock down is we didn't try to slide in, but even still, Aribo's surrounded by 4 players and he's forced to shoot, otherwise risk losing it. There's not much daylight. And then this is how far we've come. I'm going to play a goal we conceded against Arsenal last year. Last game of the year. Odegaard waltzes in, places no power on the ball, and every Everton player ball watches, whilst we had established defensive positioning. Now, seemingly screwed from a turnover, which we for all money conceded a goal from last year, is met with this effort. Body sliding in everywhere. That's the definition of playing for the shirt. It's the same with this play. Onana slides in and forces the pass out wide, and Mykolenko slides in to send it out. Simple shit. Do the fundamentals right, and the rest will pan out the way you like. Here's another counter-attacking play. Cody should have been tested, but see Garner Gay's positioning. He's denied the cutback, but he's also given a little bit of teasing room in case he wants to send it that way. So essentially forcing an errant pass if Armstrong wants to try it. And the plan works. I just wanted to point out this here vision. Watch Tarkowski, Cody, and Onana. They pat each other on the back to pass a message forward. Communicating the short pass is on. That's the kind of shit we have needed. Experience shining through here. Initiative by Coleman to peel off and save a resource in Pickford in the case of something out of the ordinary happening. We're familiar with that, mind you. We talked about work ethic before. I'm not going to say anything, just watch this. That's unbelievable stuff. Alan is not doing that. Talk about preventing an attack. And I just want to mention that the forwards didn't really feel inclined to get involved defensively last season. Here you're seeing Anthony Gordon sprint to support, and in the end he benefits the team and we win the ball back momentarily. Now, Everton versus Liverpool. I think this one's extremely telling given we lost 6-1 on aggregate last season. Early doors, we love a good press, and Iwobi was primarily doing this throughout, among others. With the engine he's got, there's no issue. And the more difficult we can make attacking plays for the opposition, the better. Especially against quality teams like Liverpool. Let's watch a counter-attack straight after a shot by Gordon. Extremely alert, a good pushback, and despite Liverpool open on the far side, the fullbacks do a great job holding it up. First Patterson to force a premature pass, and then Mykolenko killing the play altogether. Not indecisive here, all assured play. Another positive is last season, we never had an exit. We had so many numbers committing back or being severely outpositioned, complemented by players not looking, just blindly clearing, which invited constant pressure needing to be absorbed. You can see an example of us going against it here. We have many numbers amongst the play, lining the edge of our own box as outlets, and defensively this benefits as it provides reinforcements at the edge of the box where we were punished last season, and out wide, which was a major source in where the goals sprung from. You can see an elevation in defensive IQ here. They've essentially sandwiched Núñez and sent him to a tough part of the pitch to score from, especially on the bounce, and through to or over the top. Pickford exceptional obviously, and watch all the numbers collapse into the center of the box, identifying it's going to end up in there. If I pause as he's about to shoot, there are numbers covering all round the goal, in front of Pickford and to the side if he wants to favour the right foot some more. It's really smart positioning. You would not be mad if he scored that, given not once but twice have we made the margin of error extremely small if they want the ball in the back of their net. No nonsense defending by Cody again, that assurance we mentioned. Can we just say how much Mykolenko had Salah in his back pocket in this game? Numerous times on this possession he looked out of favour, but still managed to gain possession. Happens later in the game as well. On the other flank, a tough nut at the young age of 20 with the nous and aggressiveness to push Diaz off and protect the ball, denying any hope of a cross. Tarkowski on Salah. Now we know the vulnerability that comes with pace against our centre halves, and that's why no hesitance is important. We see it with Patterson, and then great coverage on the weak side. Mind you, this was Garnegay's first game and the smarts were felt early. The calm to stay composed with incoming pressure was also welcomed. I find this a welcome side as well. Patterson's just won the ball back for his team in late game when he could have been careless, and was also out of the play initially. And Pickford's given him the recognition he deserves. The young players need the confidence, the team needs vibrance, and Pickford's provided both. I think the last big Liverpool chance displays a lot. There's always someone either sprinting at the ball carrier, meeting them as they possess the ball, or sliding in. Mikolenko with a huge 50-50 win at the end. Pickford's fingertips save. It all culminates. Last season, we would have been torn to shreds at the prospect of something like this. And the last attack, we collapsed the defense, clearance with no hesitation like the game situation commands, and the game's over. Result. So to sum up, what is new? There's assurance at the back through clearances, headers, and IQ. There's less pressure to absorb because there's more outlets. There's confidence, there's compactness, and the extra in front of the back four really helps. Desperation, a toughness boost, communication, and alertness also help. But indeed, all is not perfect. Some vulnerabilities we have seen is the youth. Counter-attacking football, we saw that against United. Lapses, lots of shots conceded, and falling into old habits. We did see glimpses of some of these things against Manchester United where we conceded a couple of goals and arguably should have conceded more. But regardless, it's a much shorter list. There's a lot to like, and if we look at some of these things, they're pretty nitpicky. Old habits happens on occasions. Shot concessions doesn't impact the goals because of how stable we are. Counter-attacking football we've prevented because we've had less mistakes. The United game is obviously an example of what happens if we do make these mistakes. Lapses have been few and far between with a much higher focus. And for the most part, the youth has stood up extremely well. The most amazing part is this. We see the young and the experienced, the leadership to mentor the youth, all delivering and complementing one another. Regardless, while it's not going to be perfect, a strong defensive unit is the backbone for a strong football team. And it very much seems like we've got something resembling exactly that on our hands. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Bye.